The second item on the agenda, but one which we will not be considering today because it's been continued, is the Edmund C. Olson Trust.
The thing about it is there's a hydrology issue which needs to be really looked into as far as drainage and all this stuff. Now, you know, it worked well with what they call cesspools. I don't think it's going to work too well with what they call sewage being pumped down all the way down to Kyokaha or wherever it's going to go. It's going to be some major infrastructure that needs to be looked into. Another thing, I'm not sure if the cultural survey was ever anticipated in this project, or if EIS was ever committed or anything like that, but that really needs to be looked into. There's a lot of artifacts still being discovered on the land, even though the plantation used that area for 100 years. Now, also, the last thing I'd like to input is basically this. How did it get from Crown lands, which was leased, okay, by the Crown, and then families up there, all of a sudden the camps started closing up. They broke down the camps that I was living in, Camp 4, and then Camp 2, 3, 4, and 5 was demolished, and then we moved down to Camp 1 after my dad died, then Haheo, then into Wainaku. We need to look further into this. How did, or if there is a title to that land, I think Mr. Olson needs to present that, and also the Bureau of Conveyances need to acknowledge the fact that there is a clear title and it's not cloudy.
You said the drainage was poor, but it is still usable, good agricultural land that's not going to interfere with. I was told that many new subdivisions are happening as a result of needed housing, and those small areas were impractical to farm because of what they would do with adjoining people living there.
Well,
and that, you know what I'm getting at?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You know, the thing about it is that if you go to Clan Makino Park right now, you'll see uala being planted, sweet potato.
Yeah.
You'll see where it slopes down and things like that. Now the uala is pretty good, you know, it'll retain the soil and stuff like that. But you know, other types of grasses like guinea grass and California grass and things like that will retain the soil from coming down. The thing about it is that Clan Makino Park usually is the flat area. It absorbs, not necessarily absorbs, it's runoff into the street area. The drainage down there, as far as, you know, that's supposed to go, I guess, into the river, you know, is always plugged. For some reason, it cannot contain the capacity of water being drawn from that area. It forms kind of like there's tributaries, and then after that, it pockets right into the Clan Makino Park area. Now, the thing about it is, as far as these are prime agricultural lands, deep soil, rich soil that we should be using for food, for developing food, for ranching and farming. That's what we were doing. That's what we were doing at our farm, was teaching kids about agriculture, animal science, and aqua sciences. Teaching them all this stuff. We was leasing for Kamehameha schools, but I think they got another idea as to what they want to do with that land, you know, and right now we're in litigation on that.
These lands are actually leased under King Kalakaua. He bumped up the leases from 3 to 5 years to 25 years. He knew the United States was up to no good. And that's why those lands was never illegally ceded in 1898. They were leased out as agricultural lands to the sugar, pastoral, coffee. That's why whenever you have the zoning agriculture, you're going to notice those are the leased lands under the kingdom. So, and what they're trying to do is get a zoning change from the Land Use Commission, supported by HUD, and supported by the Hawaii County Planning Department that has no jurisdiction over these lands. These are not the ceded lands. The ceded lands fall under Hawaiian Homes, and that's 1,750,000 acres. There's over 2 million acres that was not ceded to the United States illegally. And there's a reason for that. There was a contract they couldn't break, just like in 1893, they tried the annexation and never passed because there was treaties that was going to end in 1897. And those was the last treaties because of the illegal acts of the United States. But that doesn't mean that the Hawaiian Kingdom doesn't exist.